What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Reject Bean podcast.
Hey, tale.
How's everybody doing today? My name is Greg, and I'm here enjoying once again by my lovely wife, Melissa. Holla at them.
Hi, everyone.
We are back after 2-week hiatus. Well, it's not as been a hiatus. We just haven't had time.
No, it's been longer than 2 weeks.
Well, the last one we posted was 2 weeks ago, according to YouTube. Probably today it will hit. Next Friday will probably hit 3 weeks. Hey, man, I just go off of what it says on YouTube. It says we haven't posted in 2 weeks. So don't.
Oh, I guess I thought we hadn't posted since I had the baby, but no, did post when she was already out in the world.
Yeah, but we were tired as AF.
As AF?
The thing is that time has been slow. Our last one was 2 weeks ago, yeah. 6 whole views. Damn. Just kidding. No, but time's been going slow for us because this new one does not let us sleep. If you guys didn't see my little rant on the YouTubes, she's on that regular schedule that most kids are, every 3 hours. Most babies are. It's just that our oldest one wasn't like that. But we're back nonetheless.
Our oldest one spoiled us.
Yeah, she did, man. She let us sleep all night.
As a baby, as a toddler, not so much.
She lets us sleep.
I mean, like, I'm not talking about sleep. I'm talking about her.
Oh, talking about just in general.
Yeah.
But right now, if we sound a little bit livelier, it's because we're actually recording during the day like normal people.
And our kids are away.
Are not here, yeah. And we're kind of on the clock. I mean, we shout out to my mom for watching them. But we don't want to take advantage of her generosity. So we're going to try not to talk for 5,000 hours. But today,
I'm fine not talking for 5,000 hours. You're the one who
I'm the one who has the problem trying to shorten it down.
Yes.
See, we're already been talking for 2 minutes. We haven't even gone into a topic, babe. You see what's going on?
You, because you've been talking.
Oh, my God. I'm just trying to give the listeners a little bit of an update. Okay. Is that okay?
Okay, can you go on with our topic?
I'm sorry. I'm stalling. Okay, I'm stalling. I never know how to begin the topic. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we want to talk about, or I want to talk about.
Drum roll.
Is it? Those are Melissa's nails on the table. No, we're going to talk about just relationships. I wanted to talk about kind of the difference between men and women as far as like relationships go, and how come and why it's almost impossible, really. I mean, you think about it, like in the grand scheme of things, it's a really tall order to fill to be in a relationship. I'm only going to talk about a heterosexual relationship because I am not a homosexual. So I'm sorry, guys, if you feel left out. It's just that I have no position to talk about that because I ain't gay. I mean, I've tried it. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm just saying I'm not gay, so I'm going to talk about heterosexual relationships.
Because you don't know what it's like.
I don't know. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I knew.
We're also not going to talk about lesbian relationships because we don't really know what it's...
Wasn't that the same thing? I just said homosexual.
Oh, yeah. You did say homosexual. I thought you said gay.
Are you saying there's a difference between gay guys and gay girls? I'm just kidding.
Shut up.
No, I'm kidding. No, so yeah, we're going to talk about why it's almost impossible for men and women to be in a relationship. Straight men and women, because me and you are straight. I mean, I don't know about you. I still have my doubts about you.
I mean, I definitely have my doubts about you.
No, shut up. Yeah, no. You should.
You should see this guy put a banana away.
Oh, dude, I could do it. And it's not even, it goes in my mouth. No, I'm just kidding. No. Anyway, so we're going to talk about relationships a little bit. Because nobody does that. Nobody's ever talked about relationships on a podcast before. So we're going to be the first ones. Groundbreaking.
People talk about their relationships.
I'd be sarcastic. Really? You didn't? Come on, shut up. I saw that face you were making, like, oh, I'm going to pretend like I don't know what he's talking about. You're a little jerk sometimes. You Melissa, you guys think that I'm the one that's like all silly and stuff, but she's a little mastermind over there behind that mic.
Okay.
We're going to start recording these live sessions so you guys can see. So they
could see?
So you could see. Like,
so they could hear?
No, so you can see. I'm going to record it, like, physically. Like,
oh, no.
Not physically. Yeah, I'm going to put you on camera so that way they can see all the little...
Nobody wants to see this.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to see this.
Stay tuned for that on the next one. No, I'm kidding. So the reason I wanted to talk about this is... because first I was kind of wanted to talk about, like, kind of men versus women type thing. But when I started talking about that, when I started putting my notes together... in my head. I don't really actually write it down.
No, he never.
It kind of it started sounding more like I was just complaining. Like I was saying, like, well, it's because women do this. And like, I didn't want it to be that. So instead, I wanted to really just talk about why it is so difficult to be in a marriage or just a relationship, long-term relationship, whatever. So we'll go ahead, quick disclaimer or just quick heads up about our relationship, because a lot of people probably don't know because we don't really talk about it that much. So you and I didn't really believe in marriage when we first got together. Like, we started dating in high school.
No,
we didn't really. That's because I come from divorced parents, and your parents never really. Your parents weren't married, right?
No, my parents never got married. But also, like, I don't know. I didn't really see them as like a good marriage. Like, even if they were common law married because they lived together. So in the state of Texas, they had a common law marriage. But I put air quotes around it.
I know. Common law.
But yeah, so they were technically married, because they were living together for such a long time.
And obviously they had children.
And they had children together and stuff. But I don't know. To me, like, that's what I grew up with like a dad who wasn't really there, and mom that did everything, and I don't know. To me, that's what marriage was. You know, I never knew of another form of marriage. So I was like, I don't want.
Wasn't a good dynamic.
Like, I don't want to be hung up on a guy that's gonna be treating me like crap, or all that. Like, that's how I saw men. So I was like, no, I don't want that.
Yeah, so that makes sense, because I remember when we first got together, like I did, and even still to this day, I always kind of felt like you had like a problem with, like, not authority, but you did have it was really hard for some reason to let your guard down with me, but it also, I'm not trying to be like, oh my god, like, you're sexist, but like, it always felt like, I think it's because I'm a guy. I think it's like she has a problem with the fact that it's like a guy telling her what to do. And I don't know, and I think we've talked about that before. And because you
could hurt me.
Yeah, exactly. And that scared you.
I'm very hard, like, I don't like being vulnerable.
Yeah.
And for you to come in and be like, I love you and I want to be with you, and just tell me everything. Let me,
like, get out
like,
of here.
Let me into your heart. I'm just like, no.
Who's
back
this
up?
Yeah. Hold up. So that's just a little, I just wanted to kind of a little background in there, but, so evidently, obviously we got married because of the money. No, I'm kidding. Well, there's a funny story about that, but it's basically, we were going to get married after I enlisted, but they told us if we got married before, then once I enlisted, then we would get benefits.
Yeah.
Benefits.
Like, we'd start the benefits, and they would pay for me to go over there.
Yeah.
Wherever he was.
It would just be easier for us to stay together. Yeah. And so we always say that we did it for the money. But
we did it for the money. We did it for the benefits.
Did it for the benefits. Free medical, which is, well, I mean, it's pretty much gone now. I'm no longer receiving that treatment. But anyway, so we did get married, and I think almost immediately, like, you start to see a difference. Like, obviously, you start to see a difference between, like, when you're dating and when you're actually living together, like, 24/7. And you're saying, like, okay, like, we're in a married couple.
I mean, like, for us, it was just, like, pretty extreme.
We had kind of like a crash course, just because we were so far away from our house.
Yeah,
like, we were from everyone else, so we were in Nebraska, like, just stuck, just the two of us trying to figure everything out.
Well, we lived together for a little bit, but at my mom's house, so we weren't just by ourselves. Like, we lived.
I know, and that was so much easier because. If you think about it, first of all, there's more people there, so it's like a buffer. So you always kind of have to be in your best behavior.
Yeah.
And also, we never saw each other because you were working mornings and I was working nights.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we were married, but it's not like we were doing anything. Like, we weren't together most of the time. Whoops.
Yeah. And I mean, like, my stepdad didn't let, Greg live with us until we were married. So,
yeah.
So we got married in October, and he left in December. So we didn't really have that much time living together either way. And then but I don't know, it's like living together at my mom's house, and then not seeing each other for, was it like 5 months?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we saw each other and we talked sometimes, but like not actually being together for 5 months, and then completely moving out to a new place, not knowing nobody.
Yeah. Like, learning to be adult, like, self-sufficient type.
And then just it being me and him,
Figuring
like
it out.
was,
and
it was hard.
I like to describe like when you get to that point, because when you're dating somebody, it's really easy to hide those little, like, I'll say they're bad habits. Everybody's got them. Everybody's got tendencies, and it's easier to hide that when you're seeing each other, like, every other day, or like perhaps you get to go home to your own house or something. But once you start living together, you can only put off. I always describe it as like everybody comes to a house with sand in their pockets. And when you're just visiting, you just keep the sand in your pocket and you're like, okay, I'm going to leave. But eventually when you live together, it's like, okay, well, I got to get rid of some of this sand. I'm not going to just throw it all on the couch. I'm just going to like sprinkle it over here, sprinkle it over there. And eventually, you start like, what the hell? Why is there so much sand on the ground? Why's all this sand on the counter?
Because we live in El Paso.
Exactly. That's exactly. See, that's actually a real thing. See, I knew you guys would like that. I knew they would relate to that. That's why I said that. Take it from a guy that lives in the desert to make a sand analogy, right? But that's how it is. It's harder. It gets harder for you to hide those little tendencies. And you and I clashed like a lot. I think that first year of marriage,
we did.
That's an understatement. Like that was like really hard. Like a lot of crap was like thrown away. And I'm not gonna get into specifics, but I think now compared to where we are now.
Yeah, I think it was harder because like because you've always had anxiety, so like the anxiety would like start building up, and I've always been like very hard headed and very explosive when it comes to anger.
Yes.
And since I don't like being vulnerable, I kind of put that wall back up, and I will be hurtful sometimes. So it was very hard because we're clashing a lot.
It's difficult. One thing when you get into a relationship, and especially in our case, well, I guess if it's your first marriage, you're probably pretty young, or at least younger. You really are trying to find yourself at the same time as you're trying to learn how to be
with each other.
A couple, yeah. And it's so difficult because you have to set your ego aside, and I think that's one of the most difficult things to do.
But yeah, we definitely weren't backing down.
No. It's almost impossible, and I think that's one of the reasons why it's so hard to be with somebody, because you think about like just like siblings or like your best friend, like how whenever you clash, right? Everybody, you don't have that like stigma, like, okay, well, I have to see this person again tomorrow. You know what I mean? Or you could just be like, hey, you know what? I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
Like, I'll see you like in 2 weeks.
And you just go to your separate rooms.
Yeah, you go, or separate houses, right?
Yeah.
Or shit, maybe you're out of state or something. But it's not the same thing when you're married. Like, you always have this lingering thing, like, fuck, like, I have to go to bed. Like, it's 3 a.m. and I got to go to this work, and this person that I live with is pissed off at me, and I care about him so much that I almost feel obligated to fix it. Or at least you always have that lingering in your mind. Like that was my situation.
And I would like to sleep in my own bed.
And I would like to sleep in my own bed. Most of the time you would be the one. And I was always trying to get you back into the room. Like, where are you going? Like, I'll sleep on the couch, you silly goose. But yeah, that was like a really rough thing. And I think one important thing to talk about is kind of the way that men and women fight. All right. Now, listen, I've talked about this before. And I think women are really, really good at like psychological stuff, and I do have a theory. I'm not trying to be like, oh, women are crazy. I think it's because, and here we go. All right, here we go. Good. I think it's because men, for the most part, all right, are physically stronger and even faster sometimes. That's how it's been for a long, long time. Men are always the one, for the most part. Damn it. I always got to say that because then people are going to be like, for the most part.
It's not the case with everybody.
Yeah, I know. For the most part, men would always be the ones that were out in the field, right? Or like, building something or doing something with their hands, for the most part. And women would be inside,
doing stuff with their hands.
Yeah, more like, like homemaking type stuff, right? Like tending to the children, and that's. And here's the thing: I don't understand why people all of a sudden it's bad to say that women are nurturers and men are providers. Like I don't understand how that became a bad thing. Because like we're saying that you girls are way better at empathy and emotions than we are, and that's why I think it's that's why you guys are so good at doing the psychological warfare, because you understand how feelings work. Like, you guys are more in tune with the way you guys...
I don't know how feelings work.
No, you don't? Well, okay, you don't know how they work, but, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know...
I mean, I know how...
guys...
I know what buttons to push with you, and I know how to make you happy, and I know your emotion. I don't know my emotions.
You're good at finding those kinks in people's armors. I mean, that's why whenever you see, like, guys be mean to each other, what is it, like, yeah, maybe we'll tease each other, but it'll be, like, nonsensical things, you know? Or you're gay, or, like, you're a pussy, whatever, like, just random shit like that. Or we just beat you up. But women, you girls don't do that. You girls are more like, I'm going to plant a little seed, like, And then, you know, I'm just going to watch it germinate, and eventually you're just, well, I don't know. That bitch is crazy. You know, I don't know. It's like Mean Girls type thing, you know?
Yeah, I mean...
It's like backhanded shit.
You know, I can be friendly to somebody who I don't like.
Yeah, see, I don't understand that. Because, like, I feel like guys usually, like, oh, there's a problem here. Let's just, hey, you got a fucking problem? Like, yeah, I don't fucking like you. It's like, all right, man, whatever. Cool. Bye. You know, and we squash it right then and there. Or, like, okay, let's settle this outside, and then maybe we'll be best friends afterwards. But you girls aren't like that. You girls, like, really good at just, like, faking it and, like, being polite. But when you guys fight with a guy, it's like you guys have so you guys crack your knuckles and, like, all right, let's see what we got to work with here. And so,
well, we talked about it like when guys and girls fight, like guys, like as an office, like let's think of it as an office, and the guys are just like scrambling for things, like, what can I say next or whatever, and the girls, like, they're finding cabinets all like apple ties,
and here's the thing, and I don't want it to become like a contentious thing, like I'm saying, like, I can't believe you do this, but this is how I feel whenever we fight, and I think this is why we used to get into so many arguments. It's because I feel like women are really good at cataloging. That's what you're talking about, the filing cabinet. Like, you guys catalog everything, and I don't think like that. And you girls are really good at multitasking. I commend you for that, because I can't do that for shit. I can barely do one thing. Okay, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna even try to do 10 things. I'll probably kill everyone. So when I process information, and I don't know if any men out here relate to this, you know, I'm doing something, right, and something, boom, blocks my path, and it's like, okay, well, I gotta let go of this, like, throw this away. I don't need it right now, because now there's another thing that's taking my. But for some reason, you girls don't do that. It's like you guys have these little baskets. I'm not trying to be sexist. It could be I don't know, a helmet, whatever you girls want to take. A container of some sorts, right? And you're walking. And
have a little wagon.
It's like, something, a new road, a new path. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to put this away for later. And then you keep going on your merry way. So then when you finally come back
hoarders,
to it, you come back to it, you can just be like, remember this, you know what I'm saying? And I don't do that, and I can't do that. And so sometimes I feel like I'm at a disadvantage. I would always be at a disadvantage with you, because I'm thinking, like, you know, like, me mad, you know, and you're just more logically like, yeah, but remember, you always do this. And you girls do that a lot. I'm not saying always, because I know that's defeating the purpose, but you girls do that a lot, where you say that always and you say never. You never do this, or you always do this. Or you never always do this.
Because everything is to the extreme.
I know, it's always to the extreme. But see, and that's a good example that
to
you
me,
brought up. Yeah,
know.
like you bring that, I was like, you always do this. And then I'm like, what? And then I'm like scrambling, like trying to find, like, do I always do this? Like, shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, even just that, like, it gets you like, no, I don't. But I have no proof. I mean, I'm not actually going back, because there's nothing there. Like, everything, I threw everything away. It's like when SpongeBob was trying to learn how to be the perfect waiter. Like, everything's burnt. Like, I don't have any records of that. So all I could do is take your word for it, right? So, yeah, I think that's one of the hardest things about being together, is that when you start to argue, like, you start to see the difference between the way men and women think. I don't know if you agree with that.
I mean, I definitely do see the difference between how we fight.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know if other people go through the same thing.
But do you see, but obviously, I mean, I'm sure you can tell, like, because there's little things that annoy you. I think the things that annoy us are a little bit more, are better evidence, as opposed to, like, the things that set us off. Because those little things, they really kind of make you see, like, how your intuition works. Because there's different things. People like when something hits you, you react to it first. It's intuition and then reasoning, right? So it's how it makes you feel, that knee-jerk reaction. And I think that's a perfect example. Like, think of a little stuff that annoy you, right? And then what is the first thing you ask? How does he not know that? Or like, why would he do something like that, right?
Yeah. So I always say that.
You do?
Especially
out
when
loud.
You drive.
Like, you'll tell it to me. Like, I just don't understand like why you would do something like that.
I mean, yeah, I mean, we had this conversation last time when you were driving. I was like, why do you wait so long to get to the other lane when you're trying to pass somebody?
Yeah.
I was like, why do you get so close to the other person?
I do that.
Because like it annoys me. It like, seriously, I'm just like, okay, well, there's nobody on the other lane. Like, go ahead and start going to the other lane. Start passing the person because you're clearly driving faster than that person.
Right.
But no, he like gets like really close, or sometimes has to like brake because he waits so long to get to the other lane. So like somebody else is there. I'm just like, why did he do that? It's just little things.
Just little things, little nuances.
Yeah. We usually end up getting into fights because it bugs me that he doesn't think the same way I think.
Yes.
You know, and you know, I know, you know, he's a different person and I can't control his mind and whatever. But like, I'm just like, can he not see? You know, this way can be so much easier.
Right. Well, I think you just pretty much closed up that point.
Yeah.
You just pretty much put a little bow on that. That's essentially the problem, right?
Yeah.
That's the frustrating part. We just don't think the same.
Yeah.
And like we said before, it's different when it's somebody that you know on the street, some random stranger, as opposed to somebody that you have to try to build a life with.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's one of the things that I keep saying. One of the things. That's one of the things. There's
one
a lot
of the other things.
Yeah, one of the other things. One of the other points about that. One of the different points. That I
one of the many different points.
Is that if you think about how I won't say ridiculous, but how almost impossible it is for you to get two complete random strangers with two completely different upbringings.
Oh yeah.
Right? And then put them in a relationship and just expect them never to like disagree, or them never to like resent each other even just a little bit for some of the things that they believe in. You know what I'm saying? People say like, you should never try to change each other. And I was like, yeah, but you kind of do. Because if you don't, then the relationship would never work. That's why people talk about compromise, talking about communication. But it's such a difficult thing.
It's always changing together, not just one person changing.
Yeah, but because you mold into the relationship, molds into one. The relationship is a thing. It's like an organism.
Yeah.
Right? We're not saying that we become one. I think that's really cheesy. I'm saying that we are building a relationship and we have to both be a part of it. But it's fucking hard.
Oh, yeah.
It's really, really hard because
I mean, it's still hard.
You get used to, because you get used to the way you do things, the way that you view things, the way that you analyze things.
Yeah.
And for somebody to come into your kitchen and say like, well, you know, I think that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And you know, well, what the fuck? You know, like, how dare you? And I think that's the difference between, I'm not trying to talk smack about anybody's relationship. I think that's the difference between a good or like a functioning relationship and a relationship that's probably rocky or maybe like destined to fail, is when you finally get to that point when you say like, this is not mixing, like your stuff and my stuff's not mixing.
Yeah. And
you don't want to change your mind. You know, you just close up and like, oh, this is it. Like, this is my way or the highway. Or
like, you just start like building a fence along your way and be like, no, this is how I see things. This is how I'm gonna keep it. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not gonna let you change it. And then the other person does the same thing, or
right.
You know, you guys basically go into war with each other.
And how do you avoid that? You know what I'm saying? Like, either. That's when people say like, oh, well, it's not about changing each other. Yeah, but you have to kind of, because
you guys both grew up differently.
Yeah.
You grew up in different types of households. You grew up with different types of morals, different types of everything. You didn't live together. Now, since you're trying to live together, you have to somewhat change, but you're changing for the better for both of you. You know, you're both changing for the better.
Yes.
And, you know, there's some changes that can happen there. You know, you just guys, you have to not negotiate, but you have to like figure out what works.
Yes.
And it's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a lot of trial and error.
Right.
But you kind of have to put down the walls and try to figure out how to mesh.
And we're not saying. I mean, sometimes it doesn't work.
I mean,
I think
there's lots of times where
people don't talk about that, but sometimes people just don't work, and it's not because they didn't try or whatever. Maybe one person tried more than the other. It's just the fact that you're asking it's a very difficult task. It's hard enough for us as a society, if you think about it, as a society to function and like do things for the better and whatever, empower each other. Imagine just two people. This is just two individuals. Yeah. That's almost impossible.
I mean, we've gone through that a lot. I mean, with me, I earlier I said, when I get angry, I'm pretty explosive, and I've tried to change that, because it does, give you anxiety. Like your anxiety goes up through the roof, and I've tried to, work my way with that and try to be better at communication. And sometimes I'm pretty good at it. Sometimes I'm just throw everything out the window. I'm just like, no, and start being explosive. Yeah. And not listening to a thing that you're saying.
The biggest thing for me about that is just well, here's the thing. Here's another thing is that we're selfish people, and I'm not gonna sit here and say that I've never done something in like out of spite or because I thought like, hey, like I can.
Oh, I know you've done things out of spite.
Yeah, I've done things out of spite, or that people don't do things out of like, okay, well, I'm doing this so I can later be like, hey, remember when I did that? Yeah. People do that all the time. Like that's not a secret. People do that all the time. But one of the things that is really hard to do when somebody hurts your feelings is the first thing you say is you put yourself above and you go, I would never do that. And that's very, very hard. It's a very, very easy thing to do especially when you're in a relationship. Yeah. Because a person acting crazy and the first thing you go like, wow, that's ridiculous. Like I would never talk to you that way. You know what I'm saying? But what does that mean? Like what does that have to do with anything? You know what I'm saying? Like how is that helping you? The only thing that you're doing is that you're putting yourself in a position that's above that person that you're supposed to care about, right? And you're looking down at them, and you're saying like, "Oh, like look at that! You look ridiculous! Like I would never talk to you that way." And so, just for that, I'm a better person, or I won. You know what I'm saying? It's not about winning. It's not about losing. The thing is that the moment you start getting into that mentality where like, oh, she's just crazy. I just ignore her. Or I just ignore him. He's just an idiot or whatever. You're losing. You're both losing because the relationship is already bleeding at that point. In my opinion, that's just my opinion. And that's just talking about the things that you and I do to each other. Yeah. I want to talk about outside influences because that has a lot to do with it too. We're Hispanic, so we have I should say a correction. I have very opinionated family members.
We grew up in two different types of Hispanic families.
Mine was a little bit more, I guess, traditional.
More kind of like
you gotta speak Spanish. If not,
abrasive.
A little abrasive, yeah. Yeah. And you're
mine was kind of more laid back. Mine was like the Americanized Mexican family.
Whitewashed.
Yeah.
You guys had cable.
Yeah, we were very much whitewashed.
I mean, you didn't have to speak English in your house.
I did. You didn't speak English.
Sorry, I didn't have to speak Spanish. You didn't have to speak Spanish.
So my Spanish, I don't. I mean, I understand it and I can speak it a little bit, but I'm not fluent in Spanish.
And see, my family is more like they're kind of the opposite. It's like, ¿cómo que no sabes español? You got to speak Spanish, and it's like you're offending them if you don't. You know what I'm saying? And it's like everybody's got to say their 2 cents on it. But when we're talking about somebody coming into the relationship, everybody's gonna have their opinion on you, friends, family, especially family. And we came back because we wanted to be close to our family, and we knew that what that was gonna mean. We knew everybody was gonna have their spoon in our soup. Is that an analogy? Is that a
sure? We'll make it one.
Yeah, we'll make it a spoon in our ice cream. And one of the things that I think one of the things that helps me when stuff like that happens is that you gotta take everything with a grain of salt, first of all.
Which is very hard for me.
And really pay attention to the reasons why people tell you what they tell you. You know what I'm saying? I think it's very easy to get mad especially when it's like your mom or something. My mom has a lot of opinions about us, and I could talk about it here. She knows. I would talk to her. I would never say anything about somebody that I wouldn't say to their face.
Yeah.
So my mom's very opinionated.
Yes.
Constantly, always. She either says something about me, about you, about our
parenting.
the way we're doing our parenting, the way we treat our dogs, the way we're dressed, just like little things like that. And yeah, that stuff it can be toxic. It can be very, very toxic. Because it sucks when you really feel like you're doing everything you're supposed to do, and the relationship is working, and you're happy. And then somebody comes in and just kind of throws a wrench in that and says, well, yeah, but look at this hole in your wall, basically, right? Look at this hole in your fence. Look at this eyesore that everybody sees except you. What are you going to do about it? Of course that's going to put you over the edge. Of course that's going to make you hostile. Man, I hate it. People already know I have anxiety. It was pretty bad when I was a kid, but the military definitely made it worse. And being married made it worse.
Thanks, babe.
No, it's okay.
I'm just kidding.
Shout out to my wife. It's for the anxiety. No, but
being married and being, having kids and
it definitely makes it worse because back then all I had to do was worry about like a few things that I might be doing wrong. But now it's like I gotta if I do something wrong towards Melissa and she makes me feel bad, I'm like, shit, I'm fucking up with Melissa. Okay. And now it's like, oh, I feel like I did something wrong with my kid. Damn it. Now Melissa thinks that I did something wrong to my kid, and now my kid hates me because I did something wrong with my kid. And then now it's like my mom's like, hey, you're not doing this right. So now I'm like, damn it, my mom thinks that I'm doing something wrong. And damn it, now my wife's going to think that my mom's a bitch because, like, what the hell? Sorry. that was really bad. No, you don't think that. Mom, she doesn't think that. I was getting excited. But that's how anxiety works, things start to pile up. And so what can we do to ameliorate that? I think you just have to be honest with each other. I think you have to be able to communicate certain things about that. I don't know why some people think the way that they do, especially like old-timey people. Like, I'm not gonna drop names, but like I know some people have advised me like, well, you know what? I think it's because of it's lack of experience in the way that we do the relationship. Because I mean, if you think about it, nobody comes and sits with us every single day the way we sit with each other, right? There's not a camera crew following us around like in the office or something like that. Oh,
I would hate that.
That would suck.
Because I look like crap every day. Unless I need to go somewhere.
Maybe that day you would, in that case, you would always be wearing makeup and shit, and like you'd always.
I mean, I hardly ever wear makeup, anyways. True. I'd probably have my hair done all the time because that's the only thing that I have to really get done.
I like to think back to the days of like when I was growing up, like the difference between the roles of men and women. I think that's what's happening. I think it's just changing really, really fast.
Yeah, I mean, the differences between the roles of men and women was different for you than it was for me.
True.
Yeah,
like your mom was a little bit more like the responsible one all the time, and she was the provider, and right?
Because my mom was both mom and dad.
Yeah.
My mom would go to work and do all that stuff, and then she'd come home and take care of us and clean and cook and do both roles. Your mom did that for a while too.
Yeah.
But you still had, even in your life, you still had like a male figure, whether it was your dad or not, and your mom.
Yeah. Well, I think that's an interesting point to bring up because that's what I want to talk about, like the difference between, I guess, some people that grew up back in the old times, like when they always like, well, the man is always the one that goes to work and all that other crap. I didn't really see that. I mean, obviously, I knew my dad was at work. And I mean, I got to see him on weekends and stuff, but yeah, for like you said, it was my mom that I saw taking care. It seemed like she was the one that was taking care of business for the most part. And I grew up around taking care. I grew up around a lot of women. Like, I mean, it was mainly my aunts and my grandma. You know, that kind of taught me the way of being an adult. And I wanted to use this example. This is just Mexican. I don't know if it's in Latin communities. I see it a lot, even today. When it's like a party, like a big party, you always see the women running around trying to make sure the kid's fed, trying to make sure the kids aren't like falling off and like breaking their skull, you know, making sure that the guests are taken care of, making sure that everything's kind of going in like, you know, in a certain order, like itinerary or whatever. And where are the men usually?
Making sure there's still food.
Yeah. And where are the men usually? In the corner off somewhere drinking. Like all of them, for the most part. I'm not saying that there's not some guys that like to stick by the women, because that's me. I like to stay with my girl. But that's kind of how
I trained him right.
You trained
I'm just saying.
But see, I think that's what's interesting. Whenever I talk to anybody that kind of was, I'm not saying stuck in those times, but like from those times, that's like the first thing to say. Like, well, you know, I just think that the women should have to be over here, and I don't think the guys should have to do much of like the diaper changing and all that stuff. And like, and I never saw that. Like for me, it was like my mom was doing everything. So then I grew up thinking, if something has to get done, then just do it. Like, doesn't matter if it's wash dishes, doesn't matter if it's fixing the car, doesn't matter what it is. It needs to get done. Yeah. Do it. And you're the same way, because you saw your mom do the same thing.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think a lot of times we kind of lone wolf things, especially me. And I'll just do something, and I'll just like, I just did it. And then you're like, well, what the fuck? Like, why didn't you tell me? Or I'll do it and then I'll forget about it. And then you're going, I was like, hey, what the hell happened to this thing? I'm like, oh, I already did it. And you're like, oh, well, that would have been nice to tell me. You bastard. This is a small example.
Yeah.
That's a very specific example. Usually it involves me moving something that I wasn't supposed to move.
Oh my God, he does that all the time.
Where did you put it? I'm like, I don't know. She's like, what do you mean you don't know? I'm like, I don't know. I was in cleanup mode. I didn't want it on the floor anymore. So what the hell are we trying to say? Okay, because we're kind of going all over the place. Is that don't feel bad. It's okay if sometimes you... here's the thing, and people don't want to talk about this, but it's okay if sometimes you resent each other a little bit of the person that this person has turned you into. And I think that's one thing that is very important to do. I mean,
when we moved to Nebraska, I had a little resentment towards you because you were going off to work, and I was in the house, and
it turned you into a housewife, basically.
Yeah, and I never wanted to be a housewife. No. Because I mean, my mom wasn't a housewife, and I saw her always doing stuff, and she was tired and stuff like that, but she got to, I don't know, I just didn't want to be a housewife.
That's fair.
But, so, I mean, we only had one car in Nebraska. So you would go off to work, and then I was just stuck at the house. Mm-hmm. I mean, we didn't have much stuff when we first, lived there. So, I mean, there wasn't much for me to do. And I was just...
just a big empty house.
Yeah, and then he wanted to go out and have, go out with his new friends. And I'm just like, I've been at home all day with nobody to talk to. Like, what do you mean you want to go out with your friends? No, come home.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, but it's interesting.
And then you try to set me up on play dates.
Yeah, it did. But see, it's weird because in her mind, I mean, she's absolutely...
Like I'm a child.
There's no... I wouldn't fault you for that because it's true. But anybody looking in would say like, oh, damn, your wife's got you whipped, or like your wife...
Well, I mean, lots of guys told you that.
I said, oh, damn, like you gotta make sure your wife knows that it's okay to have fun. I'm just like, I don't think that's what the problem is. You know what I mean? You find who you really are when you're in a relationship. I think that's one of the benefits and curses of it, is that you're really gonna see what kind of person you really want to be. Like if you never wanted kids, you're never gonna want kids, probably. You know what I mean? Like certain things like that. That's a bad example because some people do change their mind. But I'm saying,
yeah, I mean, I think it's I mean, I've known some people who got into a relationship with somebody and they get married and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And one person wants kids and the other person doesn't. And the one person who wants kids are always just like, I hope they change their mind. I hope they change their mind.
Yeah.
You know, but like there's certain things that, you know, are probably not gonna change their mind. You know.
Yeah. Well, you don't know what the thing is that you come in. You come in with like an assortment of goods as a bad example. I'm always looking for fucking metaphors.
Yep.
As an assortment of goods, you know, like a potluck or something. But you don't know when you get to that point, when it's finally time to deliver, what things you're really going to want to share and what things you just want to keep for yourself. And sometimes that stuff can backfire. Like that would be a perfect example if somebody came up and said, I don't want to have kids, I don't want to, and then it's like, no, come on, let's have kids. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Yes, let's do it. But for some, you don't know, that could be the opposite. It could be like, no, I don't want to have kids, and if you want kids that bad, then I don't want to be with you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you never know what's going to happen. So I think it's just important to lay all that stuff out on the table, as scary as it is, before you decide to commit to a relationship, because
just stand in front of each other and just
take off your clothes.
Get naked.
Just get naked and say, like...
Emotionally, not physically.
Oh. I was going to say also physically. You don't have to have sex. I mean, just say like, hey, here I am. I like to eat my toenails all the time.
Like, gross.
Like I put them in everything.
I save them.
I save them in a little box. And then she's like, I do the same thing, but with my hair down there. My pubes. And then
okay, you need to stop.
And then you like... then you're like,
you're just going off into a completely different thing.
I haven't done the podcast in 2 weeks. I have no idea what the hell I'm doing, and we've only been talking for 41 minutes. Can you believe that? Only. So that's kind of our take, kind of our morbid, twisted take on relationships.
I'm morbid.
I don't know. I just talked about eating pubes and toenails. That's pretty nasty. Once again, you guys can do whatever the hell you want. I mean, we're
definitely not relationship experts. You know, no. We're still figuring it out, and we're still, you know, we still got plenty of work that we need to do on ourselves and on our relationship.
And it's constantly changing. That's one thing that you guys have to realize. Relationships will always be constantly changing. If you're like your first year and you feel like your first year kind of sucked, I wouldn't base it off on that 1 year.
No, I mean, our first year, it
and
sucked.
I also wouldn't base it off on a few good months either. Because I feel like it sucks when people do that. You know, people like, well, I don't understand. Like, we were doing so good. I'm like, yeah, but things change. We have 2 kids, and both of those 2 kids have been completely different.
Yeah.
And they have changed us in some way or the other. And same thing, you know, if you live with somebody, somebody new comes into your life, there's always going to be things that change you.
I mean, a relationship and, you know, parenting, and it's always a work in progress.
Yeah.
Always a work in progress.
Because you are a work in progress.
And you're a work in progress.
Yeah, everybody's always working on themselves.
Our children are a work in progress.
Yes, and we have to mold them, even though we don't know what the hell we're doing.
Yeah.
All we got to do is stay one lesson ahead, right? Stay one lesson ahead of the
always
student.
Fake it till we make it.
Fake it till you make it. And that's the reason why... I'm just kidding. I was gonna say something else that had nothing to do with it, because you keep saying that, going on tangents. I mean, yeah, let us know what you guys think in the comments. And one thing I wanted to make a point, this is a really small point. I don't know why, I just really wanted to talk about it. It's okay, and I think it's recommended that you don't always agree on everything.
We definitely
Sometimes
don't.
I worry. I'm not trying to just saying. Sometimes I worry, and when I look at couples that agree on almost everything, you know, couples that just like, it's a real meeting of the mind when you meet those people, right? Yeah. When you just go like, hey, what do you guys do? Like, oh, I like this. We like everything together. I do everything together. Not everything together. We agree on everything pretty much. Like, oh yeah, what do you think about this? Oh, you already know what I think. You know, I don't have to ask you. And like, I don't know, like when I see people like that, it kind of worries me. I think a tad bit.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I kind of like our debates. I like the
pushback.
The pushback, yeah.
Yeah, because I think it makes it more interesting, right?
And then you also make me think of different ways, you know, different things that I probably would have never thought of, you know, and
yeah, like
you know, the little, what was it? I had a word for it.
You had a word for it?
Yes, but it
Like
flew away.
Like how you have your hand up,
It
like
just-
you're about to say it.
It like flew away from my mind.
It's right here. Sound like Bill Clinton a little bit. I don't know. No, yeah, I think it's because one thing I was talking to your stepdad about this before. I think it makes a lot more sense when you're in it should be the same way from when you're when you're interacting. Jeez, what happened to me? When you're interacting with anybody, but in a relationship, I think it's very crucial. So I was reading about this guy. It's a really good book. It's not the 5 love languages. No, I'm kidding.
The 5 love languages.
I'm just making fun of Brenda from Our Lady Podcast. Shout out to those guys. It's called A Righteous Mind. And it's written by a moral psychologist. You guys didn't even know that was a thing. It is a thing. It's called moral psychology. And he talks about, I'm going to butcher this, but usually people, they have intuition, and then there's reasoning, right? That's what we were talking about earlier. And he equates it as like intuition is like an elephant, right? And reasoning is like the rider. So it's a rider and elephant analogy type thing. So it's like the elephant, right? It's like, oh, what's that over there? And so the rider has to do what? Has to anticipate what he's turning this way, so then now I got to lean this way. That's kind of like the metaphor. The problem most of the time when people don't agree, when see eye to eye, is that people are trying to change the elephant's mind.
Trying to force.
It's a fucking elephant. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like it's very difficult. You can't reason with an elephant. You can't just, hey, what the hell are you doing? You know?
I mean, you definitely can't move
It's
it.
hard. Yeah, it's hard. Exactly. There you go. It's an immovable object. So
I mean, you can, but you have
very,
to.
very hard. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very hard. It's almost impossible. And that's why it's hard being in a relationship, because most of the time, our elephants are just
Or elephants are just smashing.
smashing into each other. But we have to appeal and reason with the rider.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever you argue with somebody, you talk to somebody, you should really appeal to their reasoning, not to their intuition or their feelings. And I think I hate arguing with people like that. First of all, people who are just this makes me feel bad, so I don't want to talk about it. Or this makes me feel bad, so it shouldn't be a thing. I'm like, I can't talk to someone like that, because we don't want to debate. You want to just to be your way.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm not saying women are like that, by the way, before people start talking about that. Anyone can be like that. But I think that's important when you're in a relationship, especially when you're first, trying to find each other. Appeal to each other's reasoning. Find out why or how. Don't just assume like, oh, this person's crazy, or the more thing that happens, or more often what happens is you kind of take a step back and like, oh my God, like what's wrong with that person? You know what I'm saying? Like you just kind of make that snap judgment, like, oh, that person's dumb, or like, oh, that person's unreasonable. Like, no, because it could happen to you too. You don't know. If I put a flaming bag of crab in your front doorstep and you get mad, what am I going to be like? Why is that guy getting mad? No. That's a stupid example. But you get
Always
what I'm
with your
saying.
metaphors.
Always with my metaphors. Exactly. So appeal to each other's reasons, not their intuitions. Because intuitions are there for a reason.
Yeah. Like communication could be hard, and sometimes you don't want to, show your reasonings and stuff like that. But I mean, it's I don't know. I like the challenge,
Yes.
with the not arguments, like the debates that we get into,
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you're not going to change my mind on some things, and I'm not going to change your minds on some things. We agree to disagree, and I think, I don't know.
Is that the best? That'd probably be one of the better ways to go about it, right? To agree to disagree, even if it's on most things. It just we'll just leave it with this and just go easy on yourselves. Because this, like I said before, it's hard.
Definitely,
it's a very, very hard, tall order to fill. And I don't think a lot of people talk about that. People just say, like, it's difficult. But the thing is that it's not just difficult. It's virtually impossible. I don't know. Melissa and I are very open. We always talk. People get uncomfortable when we talk about this, but we're very open. We talk about get divorced all the time because we've seen it. Patterns.
We've lived it.
Patterns. Yeah, patterns. I'm telling you guys, patterns are one of the best evidence. If you want to know why things are usually some way, like I don't understand this. Well, look at what usually happens when X and this, right, or when X plus Y or whatever. I'm not saying that's going to be the answer 100%, but it gives you a better understanding.
Yeah.
Why did your parents and my parents didn't work out?
Because my dad was a piece of crap.
And well, my parents just my parents were just not meant to be together. Like,
no.
When I hear about things that they were argue, like you guys were completely different people. Like you guys, it's a miracle that you guys have stayed together for as long as you did. And I think that's important to know, is that you will change, right? You individually will change, and that is going to affect the dynamic of the relationship.
Yeah.
And it's up to you both to keep that afloat and always communicate. And that's it. And it might not work.
Sometimes it doesn't.
Sometimes it doesn't. We don't know where this relationship goes. I'm happy. I know you. I mean, I hope you're happy. And
I'm happy.
You're like,
just
she was
to
like,
clarify.
she's like, for now.
For now.
For now. So just take it one day at a time.
We still got years to go. I'm happy for now.
Yeah, no, she goes like, I don't know. It's still early.
the day's still young.
Yeah,
we'll
see how we feel. Yeah, after today. After this party we're going to go to. We are going to a party.
Yeah, we are.
Going to a kids' party. Shout out to Paco. I want to have him on the podcast. He's cool. He's a cool guy. So we're going to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Because it's getting kind of stale. But hopefully you guys got something out of it. Even if it was just an insight into the way we approach our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
We love each other. And we respect each other as much as we can. But we accept that there are challenges and the likelihood of us staying together, it's not even a percentage. It's just what it is.
I mean, it's completely up to us, and how much we're willing to mold and change and
effort
and continue to be a work in progress.
Exactly. That's actually a really beautiful thing to say.
Thanks.
Because some people always talk about it's a work in progress, and you always gotta work, and I'm like, yeah, but can you tell me for sure that you're always going to be willing to put in that work?
Yeah.
Why is it, you know what I'm saying? Like, everybody wants to talk about, like, well, as long as she wants, no. What about you? Do you think you're always going to want to fight?
Yeah.
For it? You know what I'm saying? So, there you go. Boom. I dropped you with that.
Blowed your mind.
You blowed me my mind. It sounded really weird. Well, it's good to be back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys for listening.
It's crazy how little energy, like the energy that we got, like as soon as our kid, your sister got her kids. It's just like we're like okay, we can. What can we do?
Yeah, no, we were like, I didn't know what to do. Like when she took her, I was like, should I wash dishes? Like, now should I sleep? I don't know.
Should we shower? Should we?
Yeah, no, I was like, it's like we were trying to do as many things as possible. I was like cleaning, and then you're like, I'm gonna do my nails, and then I'm gonna do this. Because I was like, well, while you're doing that, I'm gonna take a shower.
Because I can do things.
And then I'm gonna put the stuff here on the table for the podcast.
Like, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna. I know we keep saying we can wrap it up, but I don't know if anyone, the what is it called again?
I don't know.
The Hotel Transylvania, or what is it called again? The
movie Hotel Transylvania.
Yeah, is it called Hotel Transylvania? Yeah. There's like the sequels or whatever. The third one. Mm-hmm. It's not that great, but if you ever watched it, the werewolves, the werewolf couple,
crap ton of kids,
where they have like a crap ton of pups. They go on a cruise, and then the cruise has a daycare, so they drop their kids off, and they're like, okay, wait, why do you want our kids? Or and they go through this whole thing, but then they walk out without their kids, and they're just like, what do we do now? And they just keep repeating that. It's just like, what do we do now?
That's like, what do you do? You really get conditioned.
Yeah, and then they start like running around, and because they get to do whatever they want. I feel like that's how we are right now, especially since we're a little sleep deprived.
Yeah, I mean, our version is more like, we can chill.
We can chill. we can talk. We can finally get the house cleaned.
Yeah. And of course,
I can finally paint my nails because my oldest daughter is in here trying to make me paint her nails and trying to get the nail polish and get it everywhere.
if I wanted to wash dishes, I love my daughter. She likes to help, but she makes washing dishes a nightmare sometimes.
Oh yeah, it's definitely more work.
She's like, "Daddy, here." She like hands me this huge knife. I didn't even know we had that knife. Why are you holding it?
Or when she's trying to like take the soap off of the dish and there's water just everywhere and it's like, great, now I have to mop.
Yeah, she especially the bowls. She likes to fill it up with water.
Yeah,
like the whole thing with water,
and then she gets all soaked.
Anyway, we're getting off topic.
Yeah, sorry. Now we're gonna end it.
Thank you guys for listening. Make sure you guys stay tuned for the next episode, whenever the hell that is. I do want to. I announced this on the last little rant video. I do want to start making other content that isn't just the podcast. I love doing the podcast. This is a great time for us to just talk and stuff. But I do want to do more like YouTube related stuff because that's kind of my bread and butter. That was always my.
Yeah, and you want to get back into video editing. I know you miss it.
Yeah, I do miss it. I'm really rusty. So I'm not gonna say what or when or whatever, but.
Only because everything is just kind of
so unpredictable, kind of on our kids' time, and hopefully we can do the podcast, more regularly now that we made a little
arrangement. So
someone's gonna kill our kids. No, I'm kidding. I'm just
don't
joking.
Even joke about that.
Sorry.
What is wrong with you? I don't like you without our kids.
You go crazy. You're off the handle. You're out of control. Make sure you guys check us out on the Reject Bean Soup YouTube channel, obviously, and Reject Bean Soup at Instagram and Panco Hispanico Snappy Chats. And if you guys still are on Podbean, I don't know if anybody actually ever downloaded that app. We're also on there. Just look up Reject Bean Soup or Reject Bean Podcast. That's it. You have anything to say?
No, just...
Cool. We're going to end it right here, exactly 57. That's what I want to end it on.
Okay.
So you guys have a good one. Take care. And we will see you on
Bye, everyone.
The next one.